Good evening, welcome everybody to this evening's AUDJPY Securities webinar, Forex Trading Live Market Analysis. My name is Duncan Cooper. Thanks for your patience. Before we move along, if you can read through the disclaimer, if you're on our YouTube live stream, I cannot see the chat, but you're more than welcome to watch or follow the link that I've given you, and then you can come into the webinar and ask me questions, but I can't see the chat as you're chatting in there. All right, everybody, so just read through the risk disclaimer before we move along. All right, let's move along. Now, if you don't know me, my name is Duncan Cooper. I'm the Senior Market Strategist and Trading Mentor here at AUDJPY Securities, and I'm a full-time trader. Been trading now the Forex market for more than 15 years, mentoring clients for more than 10. If you want to contact me, my email's on screen there, duncan.cooper@audy.com. Through the week, if you want to connect with me on our website, audy.com, Market News tab, you'll get my analysis on our YouTube channel, AUDJPY Securities Australia, and you can connect with me on Twitter and LinkedIn too. You'll find my content there as well. If you want to get access to our Telegram channel, then contact Nathan Bray. If you want to get access to my chart layouts, templates, and indicators, then as well, contact Nathan. And any questions regarding maybe opening accounts, anything along that nature, just contact Nathan. I'll put his details in the chat now. As well, we were supposed to be having our Inner Circle webinar to Monday the 13th, but we had to change things. So that's going to be on Monday the 20th. As well, normally we open it up to account holders, but you don't need to be an account holder to come along. We've decided that anybody can come along. And the webinar is giving traders the opportunity to talk to us. Nathan determines which traders can talk on the night, but those that get to talk about their trading. They can ask us anything they want. I won't discuss trading. We'll be as open as possible about the true realities of trading. So any questions you've got about your trading or in trading in general. So if you'd like to come along, contact Nathan Bray. I'll just put his email in the chat there, and that will be on Monday the 20th at 8 p.m. Sydney time. All right. So let's get into it. So of course, the market's been very volatile. We've had at least, is it now 3 banks blow up in the US? I'm not even sure if there's another one potentially blowing up, but there we go. It's never a dull moment at the moment. So it is worth noting at the moment. So on Tuesday, March the 14th, these times of Queensland time, news events coming up this evening. We've got the US CPI data. So it's pretty much the month-on-month and year-on-year inflation rate. So expecting a slight dip on CPI month-on-month and year-on-year. Core CPI expected to be the same. So we're very volatile then. I'm not going to open anything new up until beyond that. So we'll go through levels to watch, potential patterns that might be setting up, and the overall direction of the market. But, you know, taking a trade ahead of that is at your own risk. And we've also got the PPI data retail sales coming out same time in the next day. All right. So that's at forexfactory.com. You can review that all yourself, and you can set it to your time zone. But 10:30 p.m. Queensland time is the US CPI data. So let's get to the charts. All right, so it's a little bit quiet. We've had a rush up on Monday following, I think, the Fed coming out and saying they're going to guarantee deposits. That's been a little bit translated into the market as US dollar weakness, but let's have a look, see what's going on, and have a look at the dollar index first of all. If I can get my dollar index to come up. There we go. All right, let's have a quick look at the monthly chart. Now, this needs to update, I think, because it's not up there. What's going on with my, saying 103.85 up here, but it's saying 105 something up there. All right, there we go. It's a bit slow at updating. So at the moment, this line up here is a weekly level of resistance at 105.69, which we'll see on the weekly chart in a moment. But These double tops where we've moved back above, we are just about holding above at the moment. We have been below, but maybe the buying pressure is just coming in on those tops. Those tops need to hold for support if we're going to continue up. So you can see here on the weekly, there's weekly resistance, which we held at last week, and now we're holding on for dear life at the moment, this support. So as long as we hold here and move back up, potentially then the movement we've been seeing on pairs to the US dollar may be just a corrective rally. If we move below that level with any significance, pairs that have been moving up to US dollar may be moving up substantially higher. So you can see here, we're just trying to hold above here at the moment on the daily. So maybe, that is maybe a downtrend on the daily, but the reality is on the weekly, we have gone to a higher top here, and this is a week down. So we may be trying to form a higher bottom at some point on the weekly chart to move higher. We'll just have to monitor and see what's going on. So a definite sell-off in the face of the drama in the US with the banking system there. SP 500, that's been selling off in line with that negativity in the banking system. So we've actually seen the US dollar weakening and the stock market weakening all at the same time, which isn't normally the case. They usually move in opposite directions. So something will potentially have to change direction. All right. And I just need to put my line back in on here, 4104.33. All right, so at the moment, the monthly chart here on the SP500 is down. It's putting in a further lower top of the monthly chart. And we've had about a 79% retracement of the rally back up. So that's negative. So already we had a 79% failure. So we could be seeing a movement back down to test support down here and maybe a further longer term decline down. From the weekly perspective, got a bit of a mix of trend. Monthly's down, but the weekly's up. But we do have a kind of a triple top up here. So I'm expecting that we may continue down to change that weekly because the daily is most definitely down here. It's a little bit overextended. And it wouldn't surprise me to see a rally, to see at least there's a current day chart move down. So, see a 62% retracement, 79% retracement, but it doesn't have to do that. Obviously, things are very weak in the US. I think bank stocks are obviously getting sold off. Anything to do with that may also be getting sold off if there's fear of contagion. So that's the position of the SP500 at the moment. Generally negative. Maybe due a slight rally. All right, let's get into, we might go to the pound pairs first of all. And put this in Telegram today, where the weekly chart here, where we form this double top, we have moved down through two bottoms on the weekly chart here. So this is in a downtrend on the weekly, and then whilst we're moving back up there, having a week up, we rejected weaker support down there last week. That is actually in a downtrend on the weekly chart. So it's retracing back up inside the drop of last month. Okay, and we're at the 62% retracement level here. So over the last 3 days, quite a rally, but 122 level, daily resistance here, 121.93, and the 62% level here is clearly a level of resistance that the market's put its brakes on. And we know if you understand how to use the fib tool, price will often pull back to the 62% level or 79% level before continuing its trend. So depending on what the news brings tonight, we could move up to the higher level, 79% at 120.09, and we've got a weekly top over here that lines up in the same level or close to at 122.93. So 122 or 123 could be where the market puts maybe a weekly lower top in. We'll just have to wait and see how things react. Notably, there's a little bit of a gap in here that formed Monday on the open that hasn't been filled. So that's potential weakness that needs to be filled up. There's a gap here to the 4-hour chart, there is a gap right there. Gaps are normally filled. So we've moved up to that level of resistance. I remember discussing this level over here last month where we failed. So there's actually, whilst there's a 62% level there, if we use, go back to my day chart, we use this high here to that low as well. I'll do it on the 4-hour chart. It's this top here. Then we're probably going to find that that's a 79% level in this area too. So a couple of fib levels there that the market might be operating around. I'm using the bigger range, but there's a smaller range there. And you can see that we've had a 4-hour candle up. And if we break that, if we break this low here, that's going to turn that 4-hour chart into a downtrend. So then I would anticipate we're going to fill that gap. There's some imbalances here as well. Let's put them in. I'll leave them there. We can review those on Thursday, but imbalances often get filled. So there's one there that hasn't been filled. There's another one in here that hasn't been filled. So I will suspect if we do fail here, we're going to start to move down to fill that gap, this imbalance, and then we're getting pretty much back down to the low of where we've started from. So this could be up here, the opportunity to sell a rally. How you want to get in? Do you want to get in now or wait at least for the news to come out? I know from last month when we had the CPI data, the 50-minute candle was like a 100 pip range at least. The first two candles. So it's going to be exceptionally volatile. So, you know, depending on what he wants to do, it could pop up to this level up here, or it could just simply hold at 122 and it could be very volatile for a couple of candles and you might see the opportunity to sell at one of these two levels later on in the day. All right, but what I'm anticipating, if we move back to the daily chart here, is that this is the overall move down. That's based on the weekly chart. This is the day chart look. I'm looking at that as being corrective. And then looking for the next leg down this way. All right. So we'll wait and see what the news brings. Of course, you can do your analysis, but when we're faced with what is happening in the US with uncertainty about the banking sector at the moment, and with CPI data coming out, well, you can do your analysis, but then when that information hits the market may not well be, you know, wanting to go in lines with your technical analysis. So technical analysis is great as long as nothing news coming to the market is going to affect it. All right, so looking for that to be a potential rally failure to the pound yen. And this weekly area here, so I'm going to tidy a few lines off that you don't need to look at right this minute. Really this low here. So move to the weekly chart, this area here. I've been looking at this as the trends and this as corrective because we've seen a 79% retracement. So I'm looking at that as a failure up there for a move down this way. Now, it could obviously move higher if it starts to want to hold above that weekly level of broken support, now resistance 163. Then it could be moving higher up to the higher level of resistance. But at the moment, what we're seeing is we're wanting to hold at the 163 level. All right, and as we drop things down, we'll look at this high here now. So I'm looking at that as a move down, correction, moving this way. So as we bring it down to a 4-hour chart, then we've got this fib range. 79%, 163.33. We're a fraction short. We may get up to there today, or we may not. But over the day, once the volatility subsides, maybe from the news, watch where price is, and are we below it? And do we want to hold at 163 to be resistance to move down? Of course, you could trade now, stop above the high up there, and wait and see what the news brings, and hopefully it goes your way. But it's a big risk event. I wouldn't be doing that in the face of that. But afterwards, if the market, if the price action doesn't get destroyed and we still have the similar setup where it's starting to maybe just rally back up to 163, you can see it hold there once and twice yesterday. I know we're a fraction above at the moment, but that area, even though we got above it on Friday, up here on Friday, we got above, but then we sold straight back down. So even though if we get above it, we start closing back below it on the 4-hour chart, then I would then start to look for, okay, are we having a further move down from that level? Okay, so watch 163 through the week to be further resistance. All right, I might head over now to the euro dollar. All right, so here's the range that I'm using at the moment from this high up here to that low there. And this is a weekly top. Take a few lines off. That's the weekly chart. Right now, whilst a lot of the pairs to the US dollar are starting to show a weekly downtrend, the euro dollar isn't. So it's a little bit counter trend to what we're seeing on, say, the pound dollar, the Aussie dollar, the New Zealand dollar, and the dollar Canadian inversely. The dollar Canadian's in an uptrend on the weekly. The euro dollar is still holding to an uptrend. It hasn't moved down to a lower bottom yet, but it could be holding here at this top here to put in a lower top. All right, so I'm a little bit on the sidelines in terms of where's the trend overall on this pair at the moment, because it's not it's not moving up from a lower bottom, it's a higher bottom. So this could just be simply higher bottom, higher top, further higher bottom to move higher. I know on the monthly chart, the trend on the monthly is still down, lower top, lower bottom. Are we forming a final further lower top up here to continue the move down? All right, so the biggest trend, the monthly is down, but the weekly is potentially, it could still hold its uptrend if it wants to. All right, but if it holds at 107.36 here at resistance now, through the course of the news today and over the next 24, 40 hours, if we're holding there, then that could be where we're putting in maybe a top. And the range I'm monitoring at the moment is this range, and we're up at the 79% level. So 107.36 and that resistance level, sorry, the resistance is at 107.36, 79% level is at 107.44. And we've got some day support here that we've moved above resistance, being support here. So a bit trapped in between resistance and support as we wait for the news. Again, in here, it's worth noting, move to the 4-hour chart, there is a gap that hasn't been filled from Monday's open. All right, there's the gap. And there's a fraction of an imbalance in here that could need to be filled. All right, so when the news comes out later in the day, then after the first 2 or 3 candles are finished, then, you know, look at the structure. Is 107.36 holding? At the moment, it's just pretty much sitting at 107.100. You know, is it starting to want to deal below 107.100 after the news event? All right, at the moment, I'm still in rally mode. Are we at the top of the rally? But of course, we could blow much higher up depending on the news event, and then I might have to change my position. But I'm looking at, are we able to hold above 107.100? If we hold above 107.100 today, moving in tomorrow, if we keep trading above 107.100, then we could be moving up to 108.800. It's worth looking at the range of last month as well, as we're waiting for the news to come out. 62% level of the range of last month is at 108.38. And if we get really high, 79% levels at 109.23. So we had an exceptional sell-off last month. We could retrace back up inside the whole month or to very high levels of last month's range. So whilst I'm monitoring the smaller range at the moment, if we do substantially start to move up, I'm going to start to look at the higher levels of the monthly range. See what's going on there through the course of the week. So that's my current range there. I could put in another fib So we did fractionally break last month's low. So I'm just dragging it down to the low of the new month to get the whole range. There we go. So I can see where all the levels are there that I'm monitoring. Currently monitoring this 79% area for maybe another test and fail. But then I will start to watch the 62 and the 79 in the monthly range if we take out this high here. Because don't forget that monthly trend is down. So we can often retrace back inside the monthly candle, and you can start to think that we're starting to see a long-term uptrend, but we're just retracing back up inside the candle of last month. We're searching for the high of the month before we're going to move down to put in the low of the month. All right, so watch 107.36, 107 up to 107.44. What happens there when the CPI data comes out? From a negative side going down, do start to deal below 107.100 after the event. Euro yen. Now on the weekend when I did my analysis, I did say, watch this area. This is a monthly top, which has been well used as support or resistance, and we broke below it on Friday. We came up to that level Monday. That was your day to get short. And again, like I've been saying on the pound yen, I'm looking at that range as a move down. This being all corrective, staying at the 79% level, looking for this kind of move to support down through there over the course of time. All right, so we got well overextended yesterday, but I will be watching. We do have a minor top there in the day chart just there. So we move to the 4-hour chart, which is that top. I just want to make sure I know which one it is. So I would be monitoring that whole range at the moment, but the 62, you know, as I always say, I like the 79% levels. 79% level is up there at 144.30. So that would be a great level to watch tonight. Does price spike up it there on the volatility? Do you start to see price dealing back below 144? All right, so up here, whether or not we can get up there, but monitor that range. Do you see high rally failing at resistance for a movement back down? All right. All right, let's head over to the Aussie yen. Been moving down nicely to the weekly chart. Been looking at this range. So that range down is the trend down. This is corrective. This is a lot weaker than the pound yen and the euro yen. It's just coming into a level of day support at the moment. Looking for, can we? Trading down. Can we hit support and move through? We had a move down there, rally, move down, rally. Can we move down through support? All right, so here's a day chart. It's a bit overextended. We've had kind of 1, 2, 3 positive day, 4, 5, 6 negative days, 1 positive day there. We might get a positive day today. Doesn't want to move below this day support here. Of course, price can most definitely hold at 87 down here. So at the moment, depending what price wants to do, we could see a bit of a rally at the moment. So can we rally back up to resistance? Here's your resistance at 90.22. 90.100, 90.22 would be a great area to watch for a rally back up. Just move that down to a 4-hour chart. Just assessing the range. I mean, the range is, you know, there's a big long drop there. We got up to 79% level, that would mean we would move above these levels of resistance here. So I don't know whether we can get up to there. What I've noticed was definitely happening this week, last week into this week. Just to the weekly chart. This area here, this is actually a monthly low that we moved below. So it really doesn't want to move back above 90.51 if we're going to continue the downtrend. So here we've got daily resistance at 90.22, monthly resistance potentially down from that low over there. That's the area to watch for a rally if we get a rally. You want to see this area to be resistance. So we could come up to here for the next day chart lower top to move down to support. Just lost my line down at the bottom there. Support down here at 87.01. All right, so that's the level I'll be watching. If you're not already short, I got short up here just above 92. But if you're not already short, then look, you're looking for a rally. Don't be trying to sell it down here as we're heading into these support lows. You want to look to try and sell at resistance and a turn back down. Now, you could, because price is very volatile at the moment, it may not want to have a day up. It may just stay within the range of the 4-hour chart, and you have to work out yourself, do you want to trade the ranges of the 4-hour chart, or do you want to look for a higher rally? The 4-hour range here we have tested the 79% level. So after the news, if we're hanging around that level, it starts to turn over. Maybe all we can do is just rally back up to 79% level of yesterday's trading range, that 4-hour range, to continue down. All right, we can see there through the day though at the moment, we're getting some support down that day support. So I would always try to pick the higher level, which is up here to trade down from, but price doesn't always give me what I'm looking for. So just have to wait and see what the news brings and then start to pick your battle. Where do you feel that price is failing at? All right, today chart of the Aussie. So whilst we've been moving up Monday, this structurally is nicely holding its trend, okay, on the day chart. And let's just have a look at higher time frames. So the monthly, this is a further lower top forming here with a further month down. All right, we've moved down to a lower bottom, lower top forming at the 62% retracement. Weekly chart, we took out that low last week. We couldn't hold below it, but the trend has changed to down on the weekly. And we're just coming back up. Said this on the weekend, this area of broken weekly support could act as resistance and hold, or we could come up to the higher level. We've obviously come up to the higher level, and we're up at the 62% level there. Now we might get a retest of that level. So resistance is at 66.94, 62% fibs at 66.99. And of course, we've got the figure all in that area at 6,700. So watching what happens at the 6,700 level, if we spike up later in the day would be the go, because if we can put in another lower top, we may just simply move down to a further lower low, and we could be targeting the low of the year down, lower last year down here. All right, so for our chart at the moment is, once it's failed up here, I'm waiting to see if it can spike up there later in the day, but it might not do. I simply may just, it's already maybe putting in a minor lower top there already on the 4-hour chart. So there's no buyers today to push it up to where it hit resistance. And this is very, I can see, let me just get rid of that fib. Of course, this is a little bit past tense at the moment, but these drops, I've taught you about imbalances. See that drop there? See how it came back up to fill it. See this drop down here. See how we came back up to fill it. All right, so we're filling the drops. So the market has come up to fill the imbalance that was, which was there. And now we may well be moving back down to a lower last week. All right, but so can the market be kind? and give us a rally up to this kind of 67 level when the news comes out. Okay. Before I continue the decline there. All right, cover the euro pairs, cover the pound pairs, New Zealand yen. Bit range bound. In my analysis today, I did say watch on the New Zealand yen and move back up to 83.53. Of course, you're going to have to hold it through the news. So on the weekly perspective, I think we're trading between this resistance up here. There is a low here that we broke yesterday, but the bigger levels down here. So I think we're trading between, at the moment, this resistance and then potentially this support down here at the moment. Of course, the range should get narrower, and now it's trading between here and here. But if we're failing here, then we could be turning around to move down to retest this level to move down to the bottom. All right. So when the news comes out, you can see all this consolidation here before moving up. That base of consolidation is now becoming the base of, the height of resistance up here. So after the news, can this come up to here and hold and fail? Give you an opportunity to sell. All right, of course, you could be getting in already, but you'd be weathering the news as it comes out. So watch 83.53 for potential failure. To move down to retest support, that weekly level to move down to the bigger level down at the bottom. All right. Been very range bound, this pair. For a good few weeks, it was down in here, and I said, watch this level. And it failed up there. And, the range trade I've taught you, there's the kind of range that the market's trading in. So trading at the top of the range, stop goes at the 127R. You're trying to target down to this area here at the bottom, kind of in the middle of the range at the moment. In a perfect world, I don't really like trading in the middle of the range, but that is a nice level of resistance in the middle of the range that could hold to move down. Right. In a perfect world, though, when I'm trading a range, I'm looking to sell at the top, take profit at the bottom, and maybe reverse at the bottom, trade back up, and I just leave it in the middle alone. But it doesn't look like a good level of resistance that the market's potentially holding at to trade down. New Zealand dollar. And I can't see my attendee. Something's gone wrong with my attendee. So Slav, I can't see whether you're on there. I know if you are, I know you traded down from up here last time. I don't know whether you looked at that same level again. All right, so let's have a good look at the New Zealand dollar. It's putting on the monthly chart here, lower top here, at monthly resistance. I'm just looking long term as a continued trend on the pair. It's having a bit of a battle at the moment at the 62 area, but I'm looking at that as a movement down. And this is a continued move this way. So, all that being said, weekly trend here has turned to down. We've moved through that higher bottom to a lower bottom. And now we could get a much higher rally up here now. Just, general fib work if you're using this high time frame. We could move up to the 62% level, the 79% level, which gets us all the way back up here. If, that kind of price action wants to unfold. But at the moment, today chart, we're still holding the downtrend, almost creating maybe a little mini double top here. And, is it a double top? Is it a 79% failure? See how today is just touching the 79% level and can't get higher? Are we just going to continue the downtrend? Is this the top of the rally? All right, so the 4-hour chart. Already maybe starting to put in a lower top here. When the news comes out, we may, come back up to trade around the 79. It's worth, look at all these. Look at that look at that area. This whole area of resistance that got formed over there. All right. That's why when that comes up into there, you could say this is kind of a left shoulder area here. That's the head, and this is a right shoulder. It's not a perfect looking one, but when you break it down into, the nuts and bolts of what a head and shoulder pattern is, the head is always a false break of an area of resistance to the left. And, we've moved down to a lower low down here. And come back up to the heights of those resistance levels. We want some more faint to move down. So it's just that 61.91 level. Clearly, we're not wanting to hold below that level too long at the moment. So clearly buyers are there below 62 and any good news. And we're happy to let price move down on any bad news at the moment. But it'd be nice to see 61.91, which is that weekly low, that we get a clear move below there, and over time it becomes a solid level of resistance. At the moment, it's not. But are we putting in a further lower top here on the daily? So I will just watch 79% level, 62.34 up to your resistance level up here, and the high at 62.75. Price spike up there, start to reverse later on in the day. If it does, yes, price is spiking up to resistance, taking out some stops, or potentially move back down. As well, though, if the US dollar news comes out tonight very negative for US dollar, we're going to see a higher rally for sure. So I'm dragging this down. That's the lower last month. Just dragging it down to the lower this month from the higher last month. And then I will be monitoring that range. There's a 62. There's the 79. I can see that there's a imbalance over here that we really haven't filled. So, we don't know what the news is going to bring, but we could get a significant higher rally into an area where the market will be watching to sell later in the month, depending on what price wants to do as the fundamental data gets released. At the moment, it's wanting to hold clearly at the lower levels of resistance down here, but, doing your work, monitoring the whole range of last month, where would be a key level for price to rally up to over the next 24 hours if it really got going. That's the kind of work you need to do. All right, dollar Canadian. Now to the day chart. I've got weekly support here. And I did say this morning when I put out my Tuesday analysis, which I'm reviewing 6 pairs on a Tuesday, the levels that I'm watching for price to move to and from. I said, would we have another test of that low down there? Or it's a high, but it's where the low's coming in. The 137.05 area of support there. We obviously tested it yesterday and spiked down through. This is in a daily chart uptrend, weekly chart uptrend. And this, almost had a 62% retracement there, closed above support. We traded at support today and we're reversing. If you like to trade the dollar Canadian, that's where you should have thought about getting your bought position today. At support there on another test. All right, and there's a little mini inverted head and shoulders there. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. $79% retracement. All right, that's where the trade was. That was a level. You don't need the fib work in there to tell you where to trade. It's simply support. We had a clear massive break above weekly resistance. It's becoming support. So watch that level again. We may well spike down into that level once more today. After the news, does it spike down to 137.05 to 137.00? Does it start to want to trade above? If it does, that support coming in, are we moving back up to the high of last week? All right, we'll have a quick look at the dollar franc because, from a monthly perspective here, we're down into long-term monthly support down here. All right, this tends to trade in very large sideways ranges for dollar franc these days. All right, monthly support there. We're coming back down to another test. So monthly support's at 90.84. That's that there. You can see all these weekly lows in that area. There's a lower weekly low that's been formed more recently at 90.59. Potential here for left shoulder, inverted head, right shoulder there. It's almost a triple bottom. Price may spike into that area today, but then does it hold? And you could monitor this as well. You could monitor the 79% level. Is this area going to hold? Does it start to want to trade above? There's a daily level of support that we're fractioning below at the moment, but whatever the news does, it could spike down here, do whatever it wants. As things start to settle over the next day, does it come above the 79% level? Does it start to want to kind of trade at the 79% level and hold? There's that support low here. If you start to see support coming in at the 79% level, there's a very high chance then that we're going to move all the way back up here. This is overstretched. You can see some imbalance there in these two daily candles. There's two imbalances there. So we could well be at support, overstretched. Those imbalances need to be filled to trade all the way back up to the top of the range. All right, so this is really a range trade potentially, but with the news coming out, we could spike through the lows. We could start to withdraw. So watch the 79% area. Does it start to become a support level for the market to trade up off? Or you could be looking at 90.84. Does that start to become a support level on a 15-minute chart to trade up off? Okay. If we couldn't get to the weekly level yesterday, closed above monthly support. If again today, you just say to yourself, I'm going to wait for the news to finish and the day finish. If we clearly spike down there and close back above monthly support, it's probably going to reverse back up the range. So then you can assess things tomorrow. All right, dollar yen, which it's a bit hard to ascertain what's going on here. What I do know is, if I take a few lines off at the moment, is this 135.16 level to monthly chart. That high to the left is high over here, whilst until the news from the US came out, it was happy days starting to want to hold above that level, and now it's not happy days. Dollar yen's very much kind of risk off at the moment, but so we're not wanting to hold above that level at the moment. But all we're doing really on the monthly chart here is just trading back inside last month's range. We've had a month up. So the weekly trend here may be up. There's a minor high here that we moved above. And there's a minor higher bottom just there. So this could just be 2 weeks of correction, but the day chart trend quite clearly is down. So if we're going to have a long-term downtrend, just looking at that monthly line of broken support now, see how it was support, then we move below. So that could be now resistance on any move up to put in a lower top, trade down. So you could be monitoring that range. There's two ways to look at it, depending on, from a day chart perspective, you could be looking for this to rally back up now. Maybe try to trade above that resistance to the 62. Does it then start to trade back below, and then you're looking for the reversal to trade down this way for a lower top? Or with obviously having the monthly trend is clearly up still, even though we're trading back inside last month's range. Move to the 4-hour chart so I can see where the ranges are. There's last month's low. We have moved up to a new high, so I'm going to drag that fib all the way up to the high of this new month. We're almost to the 62 level. All right. So we could have put in the low of the month here, and we're moving all the way back up to the top, because the monthly trend is up, and I think the weekly trend is up too. So this could just all be corrective. So I'd be more inclined to see whether we can, I would just be monitoring to see whether, as the news from the US unfolds, if it's still negative, I'll just watch for a move down to 62 level here. First of all, do we start to hold there? All right. If we go deeper, we've got weekly support here at 130.40 that was broken to be resistance and then back to support. So it was support here, it broke, became resistance, and then it became support here. Now, notably, the 79% level overlaps closely to that level too. So if we do, I mean, we could come up and put in a lower top to trade down, but I think long term, if we got down to weekly support, the 79% fib of the monthly range, you're then looking at this area for a long-term buying opportunity to trade all the way back up. Depending on what the fundamental picture unfolds from the US, of course. I mean, if banks keep falling over and more contagion happens from wherever, well, potentially no, because then we're going to have a definite risk-off environment on the yen pairs. But this could just be corrective to, a high probability level of support, and then you're looking for a buy opportunity. So you're going to need to work out yourself, do you want to look for a lower top to form to trade down this range? But not forgetting that that range is actually across an overall uptrend based on the monthly chart there. All right. So I'm just on the sidelines on that. It's not at a level that I want to trade around. We got up to 35.16 and I'm starting to see weakness on a 15-minute chart. I could look for a short. And most definitely, if we got down to this weekly level of support, I could most definitely look for an opportunity to trade up. But just at the moment, it's just nowhere near a level I like. All right, let's have a look at gold to wrap up. All right, so let's not forget what, I just need to put some lines in. Now I'm using my price action charts that I've got daylight saving now because the US moved to daylight saving. So my line, I haven't put my lines back in because I've been swapping my charts over. But we need to know where that top is. All right, so that very significant historical top there is very important over here. All right, I shouldn't need to explain why, because price is holding there. As well on the monthly chart, we're potentially forming a lower top, move down from a double top to a lower bottom to a lower top maybe forming there. So whilst it all looks good for the bulls at the moment over the last few days, we're just trading back inside last month's negative candle. So of the big range there, we failed a little bit short of 79. To the weekly chart, this is actually in an uptrend at the moment, but are we actually coming up with that very negative month down? Is this the sell-off? Is this the retest to put in a lower top? All right, if we, well, I can see a gap in here that could need to be filled from the open on Monday. It'd be nice, I'd be a lot happier if price hit resistance and then failed, or spiked up to 79% and then failed, and then this started to turn over. But it doesn't have to do that. If we drop to the 4-hour chart, what has been happening, it's filled this imbalance here, but we still have an imbalance over here that still may need to be touched. So we could still trade a little bit higher yet, but we've filled that imbalance. So if the 4-hour chart here turns to negative, then we may well have topped out up there. All right, but at the moment, it's still in an uptrend. All right. Because we have a higher bottom to a higher top. But if this all starts to look 4-hour negative, I think then you're looking for a trade back down towards last month's low. This could well be, that's the range of last month, high to low. This is all corrected within the range. If we start to move, 4-hour chart doesn't necessarily have to change trend. But if this moves down and then it doesn't want to get above the 62 level anymore, and the 4-hour chart puts in a lower top here, that may be enough to start to think about, okay, it has turned over and we're heading back down this way. All right, so at the moment, that's still in an uptrend there at the moment. But if you start to see some negativity there on the 4-hour chart, we may be topping out up there underneath that 1920 level. All right, so we need a little bit more information to say have we topped, but there's back to the day chart. That's a significant area. So, you know, if you're trading intraday on gold, this 1920 level, 79% fib at 1926. If we got up to there and you're on a 15-minute chart, you're starting to see it turn over, that could well be the, you know, we've had this move down. This is all possibly corrective to put in a weekly lower top up here to then move down long term. Now, of course, if the fundamental picture in the US, it does get very negative on the bank front, while all the money from the US, if the US dollar sells off, may get flooded into gold. And of course, this will move higher. But just looking at the structure there, that looks a little bit negative. Potentially, we could see negativity up there in that high level there at 1920. Okay, so watch that level for failure at the moment. Certainly didn't like it once we got above there. See how it all went consolidation, then we went drop. So you can certainly spike up there, but can it hold above 1920? So it trades above and then it starts to move back below. That's probably telling you it's failing up there. And if you like to trade gold, maybe there's a shorting opportunity up there. All right, everybody, any questions? Of course, we've got the risk event coming out. For those that may have been coming in late and you haven't realized yet, we've got the US CPI data, which is pretty much the inflation rate coming out later in the evening, 10:30 p.m. Queensland time. So taking a trade ahead of that event is a bit risky, but if you've got your levels set up, set out, price comes up to a level that you like or down to a level that you like, starts to hold after the, you know, the news, you may need, you're going to need a little, I watched CPI data last time. I was seeing first two 50-minute candles were at least 100 pips high. So, you know, you might need to wait for the first hour to finish, to calm itself. Can you start to make sense of what's happening at a level if you're looking to trade, one up or down? All right. Now coming up tomorrow, we've got, I'm going to take you through the 15-minute trade entry. There we go. Tomorrow, 8 p.m. All live market analysis coming in on Thursday, 8 p.m. I'm just looking at the time. So we're still on the 8 p.m. time slot, Sydney time. We will be changing as we head into April to a 7 p.m. time slot, Sydney time, when the clocks change. But we're still on 8 p.m. till I think this is the first week in April. We change times. All right, so I'm just giving you a heads up. Yeah, I'm still short the New Zealand dollar from higher up. So, you know, looking at the New Zealand dollar, I'm hoping that we don't, you know, if we move above this area, then I might just have to close it out and then look to a higher area and take some profit. But yeah, I'm short from higher up. I'm hoping that, you know, the structural price action that we're seeing is going to hold, but I'm trying to hold it for the long-term decline down here, but you know, I could be totally wrong and that decline might not be coming. So we shall see. So if we start to want to hold above here, I'll have to close my position and then I'll look back up here, see where the price can come up to the higher levels. So we'll see. Fingers crossed, nothing too much happens against the US dollar. All right, everybody, thanks very much for your attendance. Safe trading as we head into the evening. Osama saying, hello, Duncan, why don't we take an entry? So, well, you can trade the gold if you want to. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing. At the end of the day, you have to decide when you're going to trade. You could be trading up here short right now. I mean, you could trade here. We're at the 62 level. Let's say, for example, you're more than confident that that's the movement down. This has been all corrective. Maybe starting to want to head below the 62 level here. You could be selling there, stop above the 79% level, or stop above the high and take a trade. We do have that very risky event coming out in 2 or 3 hours, and when that comes out, gold could spike up. So for me, I would be waiting past the news, and then on a lower time frame, do you see gold maybe telling you that it wants to sell off? So I think we're in an area there where potentially we could be topping out, but then you have to assess the risk of holding that position to short when the news comes out. So, you know, you have to work that out yourself. Do you think it's worth the risk? All right. But over the next 24 hours, 48 hours, for sure, watch 1920. If it continually fails at 1920, then it looks like a very good level to be starting to short at for moving down. All right. Thanks for that. Thanks, everybody. If you've got the time, look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Stay safe. Happy trading through the CPI data, and look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks, everybody.